Okay. Around the world, we know that climate issues require both systemic and local solutions. And although students are often framed as student leaders, they're rarely invited to represent their lived experiences and lead change now in their schools and neighborhoods. Most climate education still follows a top-down model, in which students are presented with global problems, but not how to identify local possibilities. It's heavy on the facts and light on building agency, making climate learning feel abstract. Even asset-based community development, which focuses on identifying community strengths, can miss the mark when it ignores who holds the power and whose assets are recognized. That's where ABCD plus E, created by Emily Aoki Yamashita, comes in. The E stands for equity, grounding development in local context and local voices. The equity allows us to understand community strengths differently by intentionally including marginalized voices, histories, and cultural knowledge. That makes it so they're able to decide what happens, not outside institutions. This framework was modeled to me during my internship with Sustainability Ambassadors, who trains students as civic storytellers. There, I supported student leadership and co-developed an ABCD plus E toolkit. As the toolkit evolved, I began to ask myself, how do educators and community partners bring in student-led asset mapping into their work, and what equity challenges shape whether it leads to student-led sustainable development? To explore this, I conducted a literature review and interviewed 9 community partners and educators. Together, they provided grounded insight into what leads to meaningful engagement for students with place. This revealed 3 layers of findings: meaning, identity, and agency, with equity woven throughout. This shows how students move from awareness to belonging to action in sustainability learning. Meaning emerges when students are able to see sustainability within the context of their own lives. A librarian shared how students' reflections on litter, heat, and shifts in seasonal patterns allow students to see climate learning as something concrete. Research on place-based education shows that place-based activities like gardening, mural design, and water testing allow students to transform environmental problems into opportunities for collective stewardship. As meaning deepens, identity forms. An urban planner emphasized that the most important lesson for students is recognizing that their surroundings are shaped by decision makers and that they too have a role in shaping their ecological future. Youth who explore their community's histories are better able to see patterns of displacement and green gentrification, as seen here in South Park. And this allows them to shift deficit narratives into points of cultural pride and ownership. Students who are supported by community partners and leadership are better able to strengthen their confidence and identify where and how they can intervene. Agency emerges through an ongoing process of co-power, like here. This is a model of Hart's ladder of participation, which shows us the difference between symbolic participation and genuine partnership. So take, for example, students facilitating meetings and advising city programs. My research also identified 3 major barriers: structural constraints like a lack of access to resources, a knowledge hierarchy that places teachers as the sole knowledge holders, and lack of support for teachers, which limits their capacity. However, I also saw conditions of possibility in strong community partnerships, student-led experiential activities, and teacher cohorts like professional learning communities, which strengthens co-learning capacity. This layered process is reflected within my ABCD plus E framework and how I constructed my toolkit, in which students move from identifying assets to building meaning and identity towards climate action. When students map what they know and why it matters, they're better able to plan climate action that's rooted in place, which builds forward into the broader environmental change that we urgently need. I would like to thank the I would like to thank the friends and family who are here and those who couldn't make it here. Also my cat who's not here, and my faculty advisor Lubna Alzaru, and my site supervisor Peter Donaldson, who's I think one of the only one who made it here. So thank you so much.
Question for Silvia.
Yes. Yes, you.
Example of asset-based communities.
That's a really great question. For those who couldn't hear, this person asked me, what's an example of asset-based community design? And I actually saw a really great example with my internship when they met with the school district and talked about the walkability around their school district. And that essentially led them to increasing both sustainability and safety.
Question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, great presentation. I was just wondering, could you give a few examples of assets that you were considering?
That's a very thoughtful question. To those who couldn't hear, this person asked me, what are some examples of assets? So there are two broad categories, tangible and intangible. Tangible things are like built environments, parks. Intangible things are like food festivals or even like hobby groups like chess. It's the things that connect us to our sense of place. And so when we're aware of those things, we can utilize our relations to the environment and to each other to come up with solutions.